Fixing hair.
All right. We are live here at the last day of Digital Dealer 20 in Orlando, and I am surrounded by the leading ladies in the car business, and I'm here with Tommy. Has been let go, unfortunately, and
man,
I can't let him go. He's like, he makes too much money as a salesperson. Tommy, you're not let go. Come back. You're just not here right now. Carrie Wise with TrueCar is my co-host today. Carrie, thank you for sitting in.
Yeah, I want to thank you for giving me my second shot at hosting.
I can't hear your voice
awesome.
is all like, no, I'm just kidding.
It's a little raspy. It's the third day of the conference, so you know.
Was it a salsa?
Bear with me.
Salsa? You get some dancing or something like that?
I was just meeting with lots of clients.
All right.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it.
And Christy Roman, Subi Ghosh, Amy Hughes, and Bobby Heron. Ladies, I'm gonna sit. I'm like way outnumbered, and I'm freaking wore out. I mean, let's be honest with you guys. I'm running on complete espresso, 100% right now. So I'm gonna Subi.
Yeah.
Leading ladies.
Yes.
A lot of exciting things coming up in 2016.
Yes.
What's next? What's on the horizon? Where we go from here? And then you guys just absolutely do what you do best and just take over. How about that?
Okay.
And if any lady wants to tag, they
So
can come
when
over
the
here
boys
and tag
get
me and I'll
tired,
get
the
it.
girls will take over?
Right. So what's next is, I think the first thing that we need to address is that the second Women in Automotive Conference is in June, 26th to the 28th in Orlando. We're really excited about it. We got a ton of feedback. We've made changes. We're making it bigger, getting more attendees there. It's just going to be a bigger and better event from all of the feedback we got. So that is the most exciting thing, mainly because I feel like we constantly answer the question of why is this conference necessary? And ultimately it's because there is no place that women can go for that kind of networking, mentorship, empowering, information, education kind of thing. And so we need it, and we're going to put on a really, really great show. I'm really excited about it.
I want to add something to that. One of the other pieces of the show that we are stressing, because there are other high-level women's groups in automotive, this is designed for dealership-level employees, vendors, any female, and for dealers, people who do marketing, people who are looking for how do we hire and keep women? How do we create work-life balance? How do we market to women? How do we keep what our message is so that it's not gender neutral? We're actually appealing to women. So it's a conference that's built for everyone. We have something for everyone, and I think that's one of the pieces that makes it so unique in the industry.
Yeah.
What do you think, Carrie?
For me, I think this year I want to focus on just being very deliberate in mentoring and guiding women. I think when we work in automotive, I think I was telling Subi that at Women in Automotive last year, I felt like a third of the time I spent with men because I'm just so used to that.
Right.
I was at the women's conference hanging out with men, the couple of men that were there, and so I think I want to be much more deliberate about mentoring and guiding women, and I think all of us. I mean, that's how we make a change.
Absolutely.
Can I say something that may be?
We suppose.
Can I ask a question then? Okay, you just said that. So I'm a man, okay, and I'm just going to be the first to admit that,
What?
Like, I've been married 22 years. I do not, understand completely women, okay? So I'm just going to ask this question. You said something that made me think. So this is good. Can women get along? Because, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Because look, here's the thing, and I know this is getting off the automotive, but let's talk about this because let's make it kind of like a view with me in here.
Yes.
Guys can hang out with like 30 of us, you know what I mean? And we can have like more than one best friend. We can have, that kind of deal. Can women do that? Because you said something interesting. That's a challenge. So mentoring women, how does that look? I mean, are you guys playing nice?
I think part of it is that we have to always remind ourselves, regardless.
That was a sexist question.
I love it.
I just like to say,
we love you anyway. No, you know what? I think it's important for us to address that because you do oftentimes in departments and in places have things like cattiness that happens between people. Unfortunately, with men and women, there's a level of competition against each other. It just seems to have more of a focus when it comes to women because we're more likely to express how we're feeling about things and to try to change things rather than to just overstep something, put it under a mat. We don't do Band-Aids. We do solutions. And so solutions sometimes, they can be a little challenging and things can get a little bit messy.
Yeah.
But having different mindsets in whatever you're doing and challenging each other and being able to collaborate in a way that takes strengths and weaknesses and plays them off of each other is not always going to be comfortable. But what it's going to create is change. So yes, it can happen. It happens all the time. I have a tribe of women that I love and support and genuinely care for and care about their success. And I love to mentor other women. And I also love to be mentored. And so if you find yourself in that circle instead of the catty one, then that's not an issue. But
And
personalities come into play however they come in.
And I think it's exactly the same as, like you said, it exists in both sexes.
It does.
We just get more attention to it, and it's so much more negative. But in automotive, most of the issues on the sales floor that happen in team dynamics is because of ego. So every group is going to have its own dynamic and issue and all that. But women can get along just fine.
Absolutely.
We support each other, and if that wasn't the case, something like a conference or something like all these groups and people mentoring each other without any programs, without asking for anything in return, wouldn't happen in this space.
And also, Women in Automotive has launched a mentoring program. It's sort of piloting right now. We have a call once a month, and we have a mentor who speaks on a topic, and we have mentees. So one of the dynamics there is that, more seasoned women, and I think that includes all of us up here who've been around a while, have an opportunity to mentor younger women. So there's not that dynamic whatsoever. It's like a teacher. It's more like a mom and a daughter, or a teacher and a student dynamic. So when it comes to the thing about cattiness, I think that plays into the stereotypes that we're trying to sort of go up against. Women are much more emotional, I think, so that when there are issues like that, they're certainly more pronounced, especially in a male-dominated world where that isn't really how men work. They're not very emotional. So the cattiness and some of that, I don't think happens quite as much, at least at this level of our industry, because we're professionals. We didn't get here by screwing around and sitting on our butts. We were all out there working, trying to educate dealers with whatever it is we're selling, trying to educate women, trying to empower each other to help there be more women in this industry. So I'm not sure. I don't see that a lot.
Well, and I'm sorry, Amy. It's important to note, I would say that, so one of the things I covered in my session is that recently a study came out from Harvard that said that companies in the United States that have women at the top outperform their peers by 15%. That's not a change in anything except for the diversity of their leadership teams. So regardless of what the opinion or the stereotype is, you want your consumers and your employees to mirror one another. Women are the biggest buying audience. In the next 10 years, we will dominate 85% of the buying decision, as well as the spending decision in consumer goods. And so if you're not smart enough to know that your people, your employees, your team should look like your consumer, it's probably time to check into another business.
Seriously, and the number of breadwinners that were females in this country
Absolutely.
significantly increased last year, and I can only see that happening more and more as women really take over
Absolutely.
the workforce in all industries.
Yeah, I just want to tie back to what Carrie said, because I actually really identify with that. For a long time, I thought it was an awesome compliment when my male counterparts were like, "You're like one of the guys."
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
And that sort of, that balance, David, between grandiosity and self-pity is true humility, right? And so the cattiness comes from one of those two extremes, right? We got a lot of bravado in this business. We respect confidence and decision-making. God. And if you're a woman who exudes that, there are some interesting reactions to that, both from men and women. A lot of times the cattiness comes from a place of insecurity. And so what I love about Women in Automotive is that for the first time since 1998, though I did find myself gravitating to, let's talk, right? Like, because it can get, when
that
you've
what we
been in
do?
this industry that long, it can get a little touchy-feely for you. Can be like, wow, like I need
Is that
to,
what we do? Like,
I don't know. There's a side
Wow,
of
I didn't
you.
realize we did that.
There's a side of you that wants to come out when
It
you've
looks
been in this
better when we
industry.
do it to in our minds, but that doesn't look really.
But it was such a great feeling to feel comfortable as one of the
Yes.
girls, right?
Yes.
Like one of the
Right.
women, and there's got to be a place for that to resonate.
I remember when I was speaking at Women Automotive, I looked out in the audience, and it was like I had to pause for a second because I've never spoken in front of women in my entire life. I've never had an audience of mostly women.
Yeah.
And it was just, I could almost like have a tear in my eye thinking about it, just because it was kind of an emotional thing. And there was a level of acceptance that I felt, like before I even said a word, right? And so, I don't know, that was really profound for me.
Well, you know, and I'm just here to probably say stupid things. So I'll just say, I realized just a minute ago, I think it was you, whoever talked about a Band-Aid, ripping a Band-Aid off.
Yes.
You know, now I know why I get in trouble, because guys want to rip a Band-Aid off or put a Band-Aid on.
Yeah.
Women want to, you know, solve the issue. And so let's talk about that, because I think that we do have to, you know, to really see this, you know, as an evolution that takes hold. It's going to happen, but wouldn't it be nicer if we played together, right? If there were, you know, the embraces by men and women alike who want to, you know, who are forward thinking. So rather than the Band-Aid effect, guys, you know, like, hey, I got to just put a Band-Aid on this, sweep it under the carpet.
Right.
And those are phrases like my wife's used, you know, those types of things. How do we look at it from maybe a mindset, right?
So this is not a male-female thing.
No, it's not, but I'm
this
a male.
This is a culture thing.
Right.
All you have to do is make sure that you start to understand your coworkers, how they behave, what their needs are. It's something we just did at my dealership, at my company.
See, we know where she works. Don't worry.
Buying a dealership.
She works for her.
Surprise. We did this test for our all hands meeting, and we started to categorize everyone in different categories of behaviors. And when we start to identify what everyone's behavior patterns are, what their needs are, you'll start to be able to communicate better. You're starting to get your projects done in a more efficient manner. And it's not as much a male-female thing, and men need to learn how to work with women. We just need to learn how to work with each other. And that's how any company, any dealership gets better and stronger and starts building.
Well, it's like, I always think it's funny because millennial is such a buzzword, right? And we all want to talk about it. We all want to talk about men and women. Here's the reality of it. If you just manage people the way that they need to be managed based on their personality and their behavior, then gender no longer plays a role in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you, because you're a millennial, you're a certain way. Because you're a woman, you're a certain way. Are there different coaching methods that are more effective with those dynamics? Absolutely. But it's the same thing with men in our field as well. If you really are managing people and you're truly a leader, then you're leading in a way that communicates your preferences the same way as it does for the person who works for you. The other thing I would say to play off of that is, women in automotive has become such a movement that I get asked about it every day, and I'm not even on the board for the conference, but everybody thinks that I am.
You are?
Because but that's because I'm passionate about it and I'm talking about it because I want this to be a change. And so I think I'm honored to be affiliated with something that says we're going to create a change and we're going to do it. I mean, I looked around this room as I came in, and since I came in as a vendor for the first time, it looked different to me. I looked at things that I never noticed before. But what I really noticed was the attendance of women that were here, how many people were sitting in the front row of a session saying, I've got this. And then I watched people that came in and didn't attend the session, and I think that we saw a split difference in that was impressive this year.
Yeah, and I think you get there's a deeper thing here that we all do need to be, I think, extremely mindful of. And I was talking to Subi about this just before, David. If we in situations like women in automotive, and even in situations like this, right, if we just use women in automotive as a headline, we're perpetuating the problem, right? This is not just an automotive issue. This is not, as Subi said, it's not just a male issue. If you don't ask women to tell their business stories, if we don't hear one another's stories, like Carrie from the big stage and things like that, then we're just perpetuating the problem. We can. If I get asked one more time, I just don't know how you do it.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
who watches the kids? My husband, because he's the stay-at-home in my house.
It's not a question to ask, right? It's about, I mean, my answer is with zero grace or style, right? But we have to hear opinions on, like, I know so much about the passions of the business from these women, not just,
They're women.
Your kid
Right.
sold a lot of Girl Scout cookies. Like there
Right.
are deep conversations that are changing the industry.
But let me ask this: so how do we get the minority to become less of a minority, more of a majority? How do we again, the movement, so to speak? How do we get it to the place where it's not new anymore, but it's becoming something that people really realize, hey, if I want to grow, where I'm at. So I think because
We're doing it.
So it's not men against women, obviously, and I
No.
know that's
Yeah,
what it sounds
absolutely.
like. But the problem is, I don't think, unlike whatever Mel Gibson says, we don't know what women want. We just don't know.
One of the things that I think we learned at the conference, at least I did, is that there's a real shortage of people coming into automotive. It's not just women that are not interested. It's young people. It's millennials.
Yeah.
AutoNation spoke about this issue, about how my son is 20 years old. If you think he's going to work 6 days a week for an $1,100 draw to learn how to sell cars, you're smoking something. He's not interested in doing that. But at the same time, women who are great in positions like that, they don't get an opportunity to actually be able to have that work-life balance. So the industry as a whole really has a crisis looming. And so part of what we're trying to address is not just how do we employ more women, but how are you going to get young people? How are you going to get another generation into a business that they have a career path, that they can thrive in, that they can express themselves, because they're not interested in doing just what everybody else is. I mean, it's a different world out there. So hopefully it's, by having this, it'll be aimed at both how we can be better employees, but also how we can get more people into the industry by creating some of those initiatives.
It just comes down to culture again.
It's
right?
sponsoring.
Start listening to what employees want to be an employee. What do they need? For some people, it's money. In automotive, we seem to think that everyone is motivated by money, right? All of the motivational messages are like, get your money, but that's not what motivates me. And if that's the only thing you're giving me as an incentive, you've lost me as an employee. For me, time is more valuable. Time with my family is valuable. Being able to grow and having time to be able to research things. That's one of the things that I negotiated into one of my jobs as a dealer. I said, I want 10 to 15% of my time to be able to just sit and educate myself, because if I'm just putting out fires all day long, I'm not being effective at my job.
Right.
The job is changing.
Let's talk about that for a second, Carrie, because really, Subi hit on something that it's not just about money. And I talked about culture yesterday. I'm a big proponent of the fact that money, if you serve passion, if you serve purpose, and if you tap into that with people, male or female, then if they're doing something with a good company, something they enjoy doing, money will find them. Money will find them and gravitate towards them. It's impossible not to. So, talk about that. What do you think? I think that resonates with not only women, but with men.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I've had people come to me and say, I want to make this much money by this much time. And I'm always like, I'm almost puzzled by that, because I'm just like, do what you love and do what you do well. I mean, that's important. It's not just what you love, but know yourself and know your skill set well enough that you put yourself in positions that you do well, because if you do, you can only rise. Right? You can only rise because it's the fit, and you're going to grow, and the money is going to come. I've never ever, in all honesty, I don't put 5-year plans out. I don't do that.
No.
Right.
I just roll with where the good Lord is going to take me, because the opportunities are going to come, and if I'm connecting with the right people, and if I'm in the right places, the money is just going to come.
Absolutely.
My ADD does not allow for a 5-year plan. But there's this great kid. He's 13 years old. His name is Caleb Maddox. You should definitely YouTube him. Yes. I love this kid. And what I love that he says, and that I truly believe regardless of anything, is he says, if you look at people who are successful, they are confident, they are professional, they are awesome, they're on point, they are early, they work, they get it done, and they start to do it. And if you look at those people, they didn't start that way once they got got to that point, once they got up and they said, I've got this, I'm going to do it, they became successful. Confidence, those types of things don't come after you start earning the money. They come when you decide that you want to make a change. And that happens regardless of gender or any of that stuff. And I think a big part of what we have to get away from is it's okay for us to have a conversation that highlights the issue that we have in our industry. It's not okay for us to only focus on that issue without education or intellect. And that's why we talk about the conference, because that's what it did for a group of aspiring women. I took my 16-year-old daughter on my own dime, took her, we told her she was the photographer for the conference, so she had something to do. It was great. She went back to school, confidence levels rose. She has not stopped talking about it since we left. So we have to do a better job of not just saying that we're going to inspire and educate people who are already in our business. We have to start at start, which means we have to start where they begin and let them know that they do have an opportunity. And when they look to the top, they have got to see somebody that looks like them.
Yeah, and I want to add from the sales management vendor side, there is something that absolutely needs to stop. It bothers me so much to have witnessed so many times in dealership a parade of young, beautiful ladies coming to just drop by cookies with no value. And as the companies who ask people to consult with dealers, if you don't have your value proposition nailed to empower your salespeople to go out and have game-changing conversations, you're part of the problem. I coach so many brilliant young saleswomen out of that mindset. They're like, but we have to go in twice a month. We have to check it in Salesforce. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't. Go in with something of value. Go into, because the reason I'm still in the automotive industry, and I think this would be true of almost anyone who's ever sold to dealers, is they want to be better. They will listen to you. They will take your advice. They will put action plans out there. They're so open when you bring riveting value, but we've dumbed it down to don't lose the business, whatever it is, don't lose the business. I'm going to tell you guys kind of a personal story. A woman that I still to this day infinitely respect made a really critical mistake. It was my first week selling, and her husband was a dealer. And I love her. She's a phenomenal salesperson. She's a phenomenal go-getter, take it down, drag it, bring it back. Like, I learned so much from her, and I don't want to, minimize her impact on me as a leader, but she did make a critical mistake. I showed up in a pantsuit, and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What are you talking about?"
I can't even.
She said, "We're calling on dealers, girl. You got to wear a skirt."
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Guys, it's got to stop.
Yeah.
It's got to stop. And, even at String, I had a little, coaching an employee. She's like, "I'm just not sure what to say. I'm afraid the dealer's not going to want to hear what I have to say." And I said, "So what'd you do?" She's like, I just waited. I just waited until the next time." I said, no, let me be excruciatingly clear here. We don't tap dance. We don't buy time. We get to the answer that we can help our dealers with.
Yeah.
And we got to change that. As vendors, we absolutely have to change the mindset that, you know what, just get somebody that the dealers will talk to, make sure they're in the dealership, and maybe the business will stick.
Yeah.
It moves too fast now. So that's a critical change, in my opinion.
Yeah, you bring up such a good point. I mean, delivering the cookies, trying to win the dealer over with things like that. And at the end of the day, looks, charm, all that is great. Look, I want all of that. But what people respect are your brains, are your work ethic, all of that. And you can't ask to be respected if you're dependent on showing your legs, bringing some cookies, showing some cleavage, whatever it might be. You got to bring something to the table.
Not to mention, more and more people, more and more of the director levels are females. You're not impressing me with a skirt.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Deals don't close
Yeah.
deals all the time.
Funny story. One time there was a girl, like 2 girls that came in tight shirt and skirt, and they wanted to get a meeting with me, and I was just busy, so I didn't give them any time. And I was like, "Listen, guys, set an appointment. I will, meet with you." When they set an appointment, they sent in a really attractive guy.
That's.
And I was like,
I'm not going to
"This
say that's
doesn't
awesome
help
because that
your
is
point."
inappropriate.
Did you
I
buy?
now do not respect. I now do not respect your company.
Was he wearing a shirt?
What,
I was
did he
wondering
have
if
tattoos?
I was wondering if guys do the same thing. Like maybe he would come in with no shirt on,
Yeah.
6-pack.
But here's a fine line. It's a fine
They
line,
send
guys.
in like these with their
Yeah.
shirts.
If I had a 6-pack, I may try it. I mean, I don't know, but you don't want to see me. Like,
But listen, it's a fine line because we can't judge those women. We got to
No,
get to the
we gotta
bottom of
fix
their
them.
insecurity and
Yes.
help them understand the value.
Here's the
Yes.
other part of it. Eventually that skirt, it doesn't look so good anymore.
Yeah.
Eventually that makeup, it doesn't cover that shit up anymore. So you can be pretty to grab some attention, but you're gonna need some brilliance if you're gonna retain it.
That's a
Amen.
short-term
You know
plan.
what I mean? That's a short. I'm all about a long-term
plan.
plan.
Band-Aid.
Long term. I have a question for you guys, actually.
Yes.
If you don't mind, since I'm hosting
for
up
it.
here, you know.
Absolutely.
So
please, something of substance, because I'm not. I'm just like.
I've had some moments in my career where, I felt very isolated.
yeah.
I'm not only a woman, I'm a minority woman, and that's also just another layer there. So I'm typically the only one in most situations. But, and there's been moments where I've asked myself, do I want to be in automotive? Like, why did I choose this industry? I could have chosen an industry of that was women dominated, and why am I even putting myself through this? And I'm sure there's women out there that have felt the same way at times.
Yeah.
So what advice do you guys give to those ladies that kind of feel like giving up and saying, let me abandon this mission?
Yeah.
Don't feel isolated.
Don't
try
find
not
one
to,
of us.
Yeah, find a
Don't
tribe.
leave. Don't second guess yourself. Really educate yourself so that you can stand on your own 2 feet and spar with the people who
Yeah.
are sparring with you. Because there's intimidation no matter what industry you go in.
Yeah.
When you come in with a changed mindset, something to change what they are doing, they're going to fight you. It has nothing to do with you being a woman.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder in this industry sometimes, especially. There's a dealer that I know that will not allow women on the sales floor because he doesn't think they can do it.
Now I want to go out and sell him. Who is?
I
I'm
know,
just
right?
going to sell right out in front of his
We'll
store.
talk later.
Just on the road.
My
Does
question.
anybody want to help me out with that?
My question is, how smart is the guy to actually say that? Even if you dumb to do it, and then to say it is even dumber.
Yeah. You know, I guess part of what we should think of with that too, though, is annoying as it is when we hear them say that, and as frustrating as it is. I'm glad that it comes out of their mouth that they think it in their head, and here's why: because I want to know that that's not a place that I want to send somebody. I want to use that as an example for what not to do, and then I want to smoke them in what I'm doing so that I can make them feel the same way that they're making the people on their floor feel.
The
Hey,
atmosphere.
can I just say,
the
can we just do
environment-
this and you guys comment? We're at the time. Can you maybe start with Subi and Christy and you guys just give
Oh, yeah.
a couple minutes closing
Yeah.
and just
How
leave?
come you never give us more time? You know it takes us longer.
The session's here all
You know
I
what
know.
mean? Jeez, dude.
Got a lot to say.
I'm just gonna be quiet.
The environment is
David.
changing. The dynamic of the industry is changing. When I think a lot of us started, we felt alone. We were kind of figuring it out and doing it on our own. You have so many people here that want to help. We're putting our names, our information, our numbers out there publicly. Reach out to people, get to know people. If you have those concerns or questions, find faces that you feel like you can follow and connect with to be able to help you through that stuff. But it's only, all of it's temporary issues. But no matter what level you go to, you get challenges. We were talking about this. There are times I get criticized for things that I sit there and I'm like, I work really hard and then I look internally, do I need to change it? And then I really quickly come to the conclusion now, having been in this for X number of years, that no, I don't need to change myself. I have to stay true to what I am, true to who I am, and just keep packing my brain with more so I can stand up to those fights and go toe to toe.
So one of the things I like to tell people is people are going to do what people are going to do. It's not a male-female issue. It's just personality issues. Yesterday, I was talking to a few people that, if you probably won't believe this, but I'm not always that popular, and I've made a few people very angry over the years, but I'm not mad at any of them. And someone said to me, how can you even talk to them like that? And I said, people are going to do what they're going to do. I don't take it personally. They did that. I didn't do that. That was their choice. And so when you learn that really a lot of this stuff doesn't matter, all these things that we get all caught up in and what people think about us, that doesn't matter. Not really. What matters is, do you have integrity? Do you go out and help people every day? What is it that you do every day? I think Walt Whitman has a great statement about, we're all in this big play. What's our verse going to be? I love that, because that really talks about what's your bigger picture? What's your life about? And a lot of these little petty things don't mean anything anymore.
I would say for me, what I would say, in answering your question too, Carrie, is that I love this business. I love everything about it. I love the challenge. I love that we get to sit up here and talk about things like this, that we get to go to these conferences and be educated all the time. I love to sell cars. I mean, I am passionate about this business. And so for me, I didn't give up because I'm not going to let somebody else chart my course.
Yes.
Right? I travel my own way. I do what I want. So I'm not going to let that happen. And I would tell anybody that came into this business, especially as a woman, to learn everything you can, educate yourself, and be brilliant on so many levels. And then don't let somebody else make a decision for your future. Like that to me is just obnoxious and insane. And if I'm in the wrong spot, I'll find a new one. But this is my industry.
Absolutely.
So I don't make any apologies for that.
No.
Yeah, I think for me, there's a balance to be sure that male, female, doesn't matter. There are people who believed in me enough to show me why this business was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I gotta make sure that I'm available for that, because I get busy. I allow myself to feel isolated. I, kind of droop down into that lack of confidence every now and then. And then I think, I'm robbing these people of the joy, literal joy that it is to work with these dealers. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. What we do is so incredibly rewarding. So rather than just be busy and like, oh my gosh, let's get out there and kill it and like get all that kind of self-motivation, like reflect. And when you see a young lady in the industry, ask her about her. Ask her why. Have you found it? Do you know what you're doing here? Do you know how great this can be? We don't spend enough time, I think, as an industry, kind of, especially as sales managers, allowing our team to reflect on the why they're doing it. And it's an important question to ask, Carrie, so thank you.
And if I could just add one last thing, I think there's a quote that said, some people will build you up, some people will tear you down. At some point, you'll think both. And I think for me, it's important. The tearing down part will just naturally happen at times. Yeah. But for me, it's important to find the people, whether it be my clients that are dealers, whether it be other people, other vendors, people in the automotive industry to help build me up.
Yeah.
Right? And then surround yourself with the people that are going to help you grow and help and really believe in you, like you said.
Yeah. Well, because I know we're out of time, I just got to say this. I just can't help it. So, NADA last year. I do what I want. Last year, NADA said that the turnover rate was 6% higher than it had been the year before for salespeople, and 90% turnover rate for women in sales, because there's not that training, there's not that sponsor, that's not that mentor that's there. And the cost of one employee to a dealership on even immediate level is $70,000 to $90,000 to transfer to have this turnover. Women are more committed, more long term, and offer a lot of things that would reduce that issue that they're having.
Yeah. And you never stop needing that mentorship, no matter what level you get to. So just keep networking.
Absolutely. And thank you, the ladies. And it's not so much for those just here, obviously, but this is going to be aired. So, Subi, if you or Christy would take just a couple of minutes here to tell us about the Women in Automotive Conference. I was privileged enough to be at the first one. What an amazing turnout, energy, incredible content.
Come back.
And absolutely.
We're inviting you right here, right now.
100%.
All right.
And so tell us about it.
Sure.
And how they can register.
All the information is at womeninautomotive.com. It's June 26th to the 28th in Orlando.
We're taking it up a notch. We're going to have a hotel. right up the street from here. We are looking for speakers. We're going to have 4 tracks this year. They're on the website. If you want to go register to be a speaker, we'd love to have you. One of the things we're trying to do, it's different in the sense that, Cars.com, our sponsors, TrueCar, they can't really sell their products anyway. So what we're trying to do is find speakers who can give content on the different tracks that we have, like hiring and keeping women, or how do we message to women? How do we create leaders within automotive for women?
Overcoming challenges, being a woman in automotive, branding, all sorts of things that relate to women. But I think it's important to note, we didn't do a good enough job of making sure people knew this last time. This is not solely for women. If you want to come as a male, we welcome you with open arms. Come learn how to better your dealership's culture, embrace females in your workplace, and get a more diverse staff and better your business.
Yeah, you can register online. We have a early bird special. We have student rates. If you have any young people who want to come, we really encourage that. We are trying to look at maybe getting some educational facilities who will participate and get some students to come so they can see what great opportunities exist in this industry.
And I'll say this as a man who was there. First of all, well attended, very well attended, excellent job, full of content, and it was absolutely incredible. Highly recommended. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for letting me sit here. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me co-host, and thank Tommy as well for giving up his seat.
Well, Dave, we embrace diversity, and the women do.
Thank you.